difficult time. The last few weeks have been extremely, extremely difficult for me. And somehow, this last recording that somebody sent me, Unchained Melody, the last recording, basically of the last concert that Elvis did, for me, is just sort of the topper. And I guess there are things that I need to say and there are things that I need to talk about because people don't seem to understand what actually happens to singers when they lose their voices and when they decline and why they decline and why the same people that in the beginning tell us how fabulous and how great and how magnificent they are, at the moment that the downfall occurs, they are the first ones, of course, to say, wow, this is just not right. This is just not good. This is what happened here. You know, I'm in this business for a very long time. I've lost my own voice, which nobody could reconstruct for me. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who have come from different teachers telling me, oh, my teacher says that they teach exactly what you do and it's forget about it. But I need you to do a little bit of understanding of the kind of work that I do. And the way to do that, even if you're not an expert and even if you don't understand anything about voices, you need to understand what actually happens. So what you need to do is you need to go on YouTube and then you need to start listening to Elvis, let's say 1960, let's say 1960, and then follow him like every 2 or 3 years, take a recording, listen to the voice, and then watch how the instrument declines. Not how the performing artist, gets famous, more famous, more famous. The world goes la, 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 rah, rah, rah. But in the voice, in the instrument itself, you can hear how the instrument declines. Now, this decline is you lose height, you lose depth, you lose the low notes, you lose the color, you start rasping, and of course the audience thinks that rasp in the voice is very sexy. Put on part of the performance, great sounding, what a stupendous sound that is, okay? But nobody realizes that rasp is the beginning of the end. When that height in the voice, that brilliance in the voice, that you hear in Elvis's singing from day one. Gorgeous, gorgeous sound, gorgeous, brilliant, natural voice. The voice was completely natural. I should say the same thing about pretty much everybody. So whether it's cantorial, whether it's classical, whether it's pop, the voice loses brilliance. It loses shine. So what happens? At the beginning of his career, there wasn't very much electronics. And what you actually got to hear was the brilliance of his voice. Consummate performer, no question, changed the world of the performing arts of popular rock music like nobody. Nobody denies that. I'm not here to win any personality or popularity contests. Tell you the truth, I really don't care. But what I do care about is that because of all of the musical politics, because of the vocal not necessity to really sing anymore, because today you can get away with having this much and sounding like this much. Why? Because today you have incredible soundboards, fabulous engineers who have no clue about the voice, who will give you instructions according to the mechanical end of it that really has nothing to do with the voice. So here I am listening to Adele screaming out and against and pressing and pushing against the instrument. Was in an interview, I think, or she wrote, I don't remember, where she said, I had to push even more than I normally do, maxed out, completely maxed out on steroids. And then you go and you read the article that I published on Facebook about Elvis, and you see basically the same story. And you see in the story the person that is writing the article saying, wow, this was the best performance ever. So in somebody who doesn't know, who has no clue of what is really going on in that instrument, and watches and sees the struggle, the total physical, mental, and emotional struggle, and this is called phenomenal. So passionate. He is suffering. He is not able to bring out the notes crash, the notes crack. He can't get into the notes, the sounds that he's looking for. So, he brings it down. And that is called emotion. What that is called, it's called impossible for the instrument to produce what the singer is looking to do. So if he's looking to achieve quote unquote falsetto, which is false, he goes into the throat and it sounds like, do you understand that this is a killer for the voice. You understand that this is zero possibility and struggle for the singer to bring out the real wish that he has to communicate, because technically it is not possible anymore to use the instrument in the way it needs to be done. Okay, this is Elvis. This is Julie Andrews. Okay, where did that go wrong? This gorgeous sound of music voice that a generation was in love with. And then comes the Broadway appearance. And then comes the operation. And then comes Lloyd's of London. Of course, the voice was insured because it's the most precious jewel. And then it's over. Then it's over. Then it's completely over. And you know what? Once it's over, that in truth is the beginning. That's when people come to me, okay, that's when people come to me, and that's when people say, I've lost it all. I've lost everything. Can you please help me? And I can. And I do. And the most incredible of all things, okay, is that I do it every time, and people really go back out into the world, never, ever, ever, ever mention the fact where they came from, some big university, some big school, some big teacher. They'll mention the name of that teacher because he's got the big name, but who actually rebuilt it, that nobody will talk about. And you know what? For me, it really, in the end of all things, I really, really don't care. Because if they are who they are, the day will come when they will pay for that as well. Because as long as they're in my cure and we take care of the voice the way it needs to be taken care of, everything is great. But then when they do things, and everybody does, that they're not supposed to be doing, and they overstep the bounds of the instrument, it's over. Then come back and they say, please help me. And most of the time I do, but sometimes I don't. And not because I'm mean, but because a person has behaved themselves in such a way that I simply don't love them anymore. And if I don't love them, I can't teach them. That's the way things go with me. There are people who owe me incredible amounts of money that I will never see, and I know this. And there are others who owe me incredible amounts of money, and then I'll see a trickle here or a trickle there. But also that is not important. What's important to me at the end of the day is that the voice does what the voice needs to do, and that it expresses what the singer needs to express. I don't like people who know nothing about the voice, who critique voices, who write articles about how great a singer is and what color they have in the voice and how their acute sound is so extraordinary. And in reality, it's not. It's pushed. It's forced. And it is ultimately destructive. Whitney Houston, for 15 years, I was after. And I tried in every way, just like I'm now trying with Adele, in every possible way, and do things today that I've never done before. Writing on Facebook, going on Twitter, doing live, doing videos. I have a video channel if you want to know what this work is. Go to MJA on YouTube. You've got 130, 140 videos. But the truth is that nobody really cares. Management certainly doesn't care. They are looking at the bottom line. The bottom line is, you got the voice, baby, you go. They don't care if after the concert or before the concert you need to have steroid injections. They don't care if ultimately you wind up needing Botox. They don't care if you have nodules or polyps on your cord. They want the bottom line. They want the bottom line. And if you are not able to give them the bottom line, oh, they are the first to just take off your head. And I have to tell you that I suffer this. I suffer it because I know what can be done to a voice and with a voice that is completely, quote unquote, according to the other teachers, okay, completely finished. That means I don't know, and I don't want to know who they study with. I don't care what they study. I don't care. The only thing I care about also is the bottom line. And the bottom line is, does my singer, after a concert, after a show, have a voice and can start all over again, sing a whole opera, and then start all over again? Because there is no vocal fatigue. There is nothing on the instrument that is destroying it, because it's in such a place where it never, never, never gets abused. Or do I watch my singer, or I watch, in this case, we're talking about the Elvis video that I put up, okay? And I see the stress, and I see the pain of the artist not being able to bring out the sound that they're looking for. People, listen, go take a look at this video and the article that goes along with it, and then the other link that I put up is the killer doctor. Okay, so look at this, and don't you realize, if you really listen and you really examine and you really watch the stress on the instrument, and when you watch Adele and you see the struggle internally to literally pull out the sounds, and then you hear and you listen to a different kind of voice. 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I do these experiments, okay? I'll give you an example. Renee Fleming was the darling of American opera, okay? When she came out, this was like incredible voice, absolutely gorgeous, wonderful. And I listened. Then I re-listened 5 years later, and I hear it. And I listen 10 years later, and I hear it more. And then the repertoire changes, and it becomes dramatic, because then you need more power, and you can't do that if you're in the height. So now you're going to what they call the middle voice. And then the middle voice doesn't work anymore, and then you go into the low voice, and everything is right inside the instrument and banging against the instrument, one after the other. And then you become a teacher. And then you become an announcer. And you become a personality. But you sing Broadway, and you sing some leaders, and all of a sudden you don't sing anymore. You give me somebody who is 70. Bring me somebody who's 70, who hasn't sung because he doesn't have a voice anymore. And in 6 months' time, I'll reconstruct to age 25, before the onslaught of the horror, and a 75-year-old and a 25-year-old can vie for the same repertoire. Because then the real voice, which has really never been used, comes out. In the years of the 60s to about the middle 70s, 50, 60, and 70, okay, in back of me, you can see I have a collection of records that you would not believe. This whole entire cabinet is full of 78 records, 33s. That's when you can really hear a voice. When there is nothing but just the voice. You take any singer today, take away the microphone, take away the speakers, take away the board, take away everything, and watch what you get. Now, in cantorial singing, for instance, in cantorial singing, there is no microphone. So basically, people are pushing their voices until they just don't work anymore. Painful. Very painful. I live for the voice. I live for my students. I fight battles, but I fight battles for each and every one of them. Why? Because the voice is a godly thing. And to lose a voice is to lose a life. Because if you are born a singer, like Elvis was born a singer, like Whitney was born a singer, like Celine Dion was born a singer, okay? Today you hear nothing about Celine Dion anymore. Here and there, but a lot of vocal silence. John Mayer, Sam Smith's teacher. A day after Adele came out with the fact that she, put it into Google and read his remarks. Totally off the wall. I'm going to Italy in 2.5 weeks. Big masterclass with a dear friend and colleague, Fabio Armigliato. Great tenor. Great international personality. Wrote the preface for my book, The Voice, which is now translated in Italian, thank God. I need to change. I need to change the way people are teaching, because it's all about teaching. Voice is a God-given gift, like everything else. And if you lose it, then you have taken that gift and thrown it into the garbage. And let me tell you something. Agents and managers have no clue about the voice. Sound engineers know nothing about the voice. These are the people that are telling you how to do it. Susan Boyle, okay? What gorgeous, beautiful, natural voice. Totally natural. Stupendous. I said, you watch when those producers get their hands on that voice, what they're going to do to it. And I listened to the first recording that came out, and I cried. Why? Because all that beautiful, natural ring of the voice was gone. I'm absolutely sweating because there's no air conditioning in here. I'm sitting in my balm room. So in Israel, we have in each house, in each apartment, we have a room that, God forbid, if something happens, we can go to. Well, this room is my office. And because of the sound quality, I didn't want the noise of anything to interfere with our talk. So if you see me sweating and taking off the drops, So you know why that is. Anyway, what I want to say is, and what I want to say is important. I've got many years of experience, and I've got many, many, many students. And what I'm saying is not what you will hear from anybody else, because they don't say it. They don't stand for it because they're in the system. I am not. I've kept myself out for the reason that the integrity of the voice and the teaching of what I teach and what I write in my books is preserved. I don't run with anybody. I run on my own. So I can run anywhere at any time. And my books say, bring me or take me or invite me to the place. Bring me the most horrible, the most pained. I wrote a few weeks ago, last week, about a woman who came to me, but just ripping out my insides, because this is what happens to me. Okay, when I hear something like that and I hear the story that goes along with it, because there's always a story that goes along with it, and there is always a physical, an emotional, and a mental conversation that makes up what the voice really is. She's an older woman, very badly abused, could not speak, shaking, nothing wrong, quote unquote, according to the scoping of her vocal cords. So basically everything is physically okay, but the body, it is shaking like the body. We've had 7 or 8 lessons. For all intents and purposes, the woman is singing. Gorgeous, 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 high, beautiful soprano. The shaking in her body is literally gone. The shaking in her voice is 90% gone. And in another 2 or 3 months, she'll be absolutely perfect. Now, the interesting thing is that this woman is a speech pathologist for 30 years. She taught speech pathology for 30 years. When she came, she had no clue about what I was talking about. Nothing that I told her even sounded familiar. Nothing. I should have done videos. I really should do videos only. And it took about 2 lessons, 3 lessons before she could throw away all of this old stuff that she had and really allow the information that I was giving her. Once she allowed the information, the changes were rapid. I need to teach teachers. I need an academy. I need my academy to be in Italy. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go to Italy with the idea in mind to create an academy of voice development, of voice construction and reconstruction. Any age, any genre, anytime, anywhere, for as long as I live. And those of you out there who are looking at these horror shows and watching 6-year-old children sounding like they're 40, singing repertoire and using their voices like they are grown-ups, and rah, 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 and this one says it's fabulous, and that one is crying, and this one is emotional about this child, then I can tell you and promise you that in a couple of years, at the most, 5, at the most, 5, that will all be gone. And who takes responsibility for this? Oh, the teacher? Pick, you got me on X Factor. You got me on America Has Talent, England Has Talent, whoop-de-doo, whatever it is, Australia Has Talent. You got me there. Fabulous. Everybody is running to go to the same teacher because you got me there. And when it's all over, nobody is there to pick up the pieces. The real teaching is that, God forbid, we're human beings, we make a mistake, we scratch, we have just a bad performance, which is very, very difficult for the instrument. At that point, you must go back to your teacher, you must rework, you must reposition, get rid of it, and the problem is that if the teacher who taught you this in the first place doesn't have an appropriate answer, where do you go? You come to me. And there are some voices that naturally last for a very long time. And there are other voices that don't. It's just like any other instrument or any other mind. I profess to have the answers. I profess to be blessed with being able to reconstruct those voices. I profess that if you do what I tell you, and if you stay with what I tell you, and if you learn what I tell you, and if you allow your instrument to be what it really is without the input of the almighty money machine, you will sing. Even if today you don't, you will sing like a bird. What can I say? I was an Elvis fan. I loved Judy Andrews. I was a Miriam fan when I was singing. And when at 19, my voice was broken, there was nobody who could help me. So where I went and what I did and where I come from is not out of a school, is not out of a conservatory. I come out of the highest academy that taught me, with the proviso that what I was taught, I will teach and never sing again. I teach, but I do not sing. And if you want to see how that is done, and when you understand to come in touch with your own instrument instead of being influenced by mine, quote unquote, then you will learn and you will understand. So my suggestion is, come to my masterclasses, watch the videos, come learn. Put me in front of 1,000 people, I don't care. Because what I'm teaching, unfortunately, there is nobody who does this. Put together a teaching program for me. I'll go anywhere. I am not capable of doing it because it's not my job. You need other things to be able to do that. I don't have them. My job is to teach. My life is about teaching. My life is about taking broken voices and putting them back together again. My life is about reconstruction. My life is about taking broken voices, broken hearts, broken minds because of the voice, and put them back together. What can I say to you? Except to ask you to please put out the message. Please help me. Please help me fight this war against people in the know who don't know, against people who charge exorbitant amounts of money to destroy. Please. The voice is a precious, precious, precious thing. And basically do what I do. Start an artist at the beginning of his career, and then take every 3-4 years and begin listening, really listening to the voice. Begin to really hear and understand the changes, and you can see how the level changes, and how, like Elvis in that last recording, which to me is heartbreaking, not because it's Unchained Melodies and not because he died afterwards. That's heartbreaking, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ruination of the instrument. So if you have any ideas, if you're somebody who manages, if you're a school, if you organize, write to me, Miriam Arman at AOL.com. Write to me on Facebook. Do anything you want. Makes no difference. Get in touch. You need help. Get in touch. I've been teaching probably the first, if not within the first 10 people who ever used Skype in 2000 for teaching my international things. And being with them at every given moment, at every occasion, and always available today. So I'm going to leave you with this plea. We have a really, really, really great talent in Adele. A really phenomenal voice. And an extraordinary human being. Bring her. Bring me to her. Give me an address. I'll go to England. It makes no difference. Just put it out there. Put it out there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being there. Thank you for believing and trusting in me for so many years, and for the continuation. There's a lot to be done, a lot of work ahead. Bye, everybody.